Hey guys, it's Kay and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing something a little different. I'm taking a look back at the Jelly Gouache study I did about 5 months ago. If you're like me, you probably saw the HIMI Jelly Gouache sets all over social media a while back. They look so satisfying, almost like little cups of pudding, that I just had to get one. I've had this 56 color set since the summer of 2023, but to be honest, it's mostly been sitting on my shelf gathering dust. I've always been intimidated by gouache. Besides it's this weird middle ground between watercolor and acrylic, I always struggled to work with it properly. I tried tutorial books, watched tutorials on YouTube, but my results never turned out the way they should. So I struggled to understand how much water to use, what my brush technique should be, and, well, basically everything else. I doubted myself a lot, thinking, learning gouache can't be that hard, right? Right? I kind of realized I was trying to run before I could walk. I was challenging myself with pieces that were way beyond my skill level, often painting things I didn't even enjoy. So since I was having fun, I wasn't learning. So I decided to go back to basics with a leveling up project. I needed a way to practice that didn't feel like a chore. After thinking about the best way to learn this medium, I came up with the idea of painting Pokémon with Jelly Gouache. I choose Pokémon as my main inspiration for a few key reasons. First of all, the shape language. Most Pokémon are built out of very simple geometric shapes, like circles, triangles, and ovals, which makes the sketching phase much less stressful. So if I haven't drawn many creatures before, like me, I think Pokémon is a great choice to start with it. Secondly, the official 2D artworks. If you go to the official Pokémon website, you have access to every single Pokémon in a 2D style with clear shadows, highlights, and smooth color blends. It's a perfect reference for learning how to blend colors and apply light. The last thing I wanted to mention is that I like the Pokémon games, and since I like the games and its creatures, I enjoy doing the study session more rather than a boring object. Let's talk about the materials I used for this study session. For the sketch, I kept it simple with a standard HB pencil. For the brushes, I'm using the Vinci brushes I picked up from the art store Bösner. I used a total of 3 different brush sizes: a small pointed brush for details, a larger round brush for filling larger areas, and a small flat brush. I'm painting on Canson A4 size oil and acrylic paper. It's 290 grams per square meters, so it's thick enough to handle the water without warping too much. And of course the 56 color HIMI Jelly Gouache set. The painting process started with a bit of a struggle. Since the HIMI Jelly Gouache set has 56 different and pre-mixed colors, I tried only using them without mixing my own. However, it turned out to be a mistake. I started painting Cubone's body, but the pre-mixed color didn't match him at all. I had to mix my own brownish tone and paint over it. I'm naturally a bit lazy when it comes to coloring mixing. I always worry I will waste paint, but I realized that if I wanted it to look right, I had to do it. Looking back at this footage from 5 months ago, I can't exactly remember why I was so unhappy with the initial color. I also can't remember the colors I used, as well as what the problem with the color really was. If it was too bright, too dark, or if the hue was incorrect. I think it was a little too dark and the hue wasn't quite right, so I slightly changed it. Another problem I ran into was probably my water ratio. Jelly gouache should have like a creamy consistency while being in a tube and applying it. However, mine wasn't quite there. Some of my colors had dried out, and even though I reactivated them, the paint didn't spread as smoothly as it should. I might not have used enough water, but I was afraid that if I used too much, it would become transparent like watercolor. If you're familiar with this medium and know how to handle this, please drop your tips in the comments. I would love to know how to fix this for future projects. After 2 problems, there was also a third one. When I applied the shadows, I used a violet color mix with too much water. I wanted a nice, cool contrast, but since gouache reactivates with water, the purple started picking up the brown layer underneath. I ended up smudging the body paint into the shadow and had to rework the whole area. Once I started painting the bone and the skull, I noticed some improvements and avoided some mistakes I did at the beginning. I started painting with a grey and white paint, blending them with just a little bit of water. I also made sure to let the paint dry completely before adding another layer, something I didn't do with the body. I learned that with gouache you have to be patient. I'm very impatient. I always want to proceed as fast as possible to see the finished result immediately, but gouache demands that you wait for those layers to set. Looking back at this footage from 5 months ago, I see so many things I would do differently now. I think that the main problem of this painting was my water to paint ratio and that I have to be patient and let dry the paint first if I want to add another color layer. I still feel like I'm missing something crucial about gouache, so if you have any tips, please let me know. I'm thinking of making this Pokémon gouache study to a new series on the channel. It won't be a professional tutorial, but more of a painting diary where I share the ugly stages, the mistakes, and the small achievements with you guys. I was so motivated after this piece that I already sketched the next Pokémon, but I haven't started painting it yet. It's a surprise which Pokémon I choose for the next style session, but also if you want to see more of this series, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious what you think about my new series. A few words why I choose Cubone for my first Jelly Gouache study is basically I already have drawn him once and I'm a little bit familiar with this Pokemon. And also it's my boyfriend's favorite Pokemon. To wrap things up, I went back with my HB pencil to redefine the lines and also added a little green patch and a drop shadow to make the painting a little bit more interesting. And that's the final painting. I'm pretty happy with it despite the struggles. It doesn't look bad at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you liked it and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!